the most relaxing facts about cells to fall asleep. Tonight, we're exploring something you're carrying right now. Trillions of tiny rooms, each one alive, each one working while you rest. We call them cells, and inside you right now, they're performing quiet miracles. Your body holds about 37 trillion cells. That's more than all the stars you can see in the night sky. Each one is smaller than a grain of sand, yet each one contains instructions that could fill 1,000 books. This is a place for calm curiosity. So settle in, get comfortable. Let's discover the peaceful universe living inside you. Think of your body as a building, not one big open space, but countless small rooms. Rooms stacked on rooms, rooms beside rooms, rooms within rooms. These are your cells. Each one is a separate chamber with its own walls, its own purpose, its own life. Right now, in your fingertip alone, there are millions of these tiny rooms. In the skin covering your hand, in the muscles beneath, in the bones deeper still. Every part of you is made of them. They're so small, you could fit 100,000 on the head of a pin. Yet each one is a complete world unto itself. A cell is the smallest thing that can be called alive. It eats, it breathes, it grows. It responds to the world around it. It can even make copies of itself. Everything alive on Earth is made of cells, from the smallest bacteria to the largest whale, from grass to trees to you. We're all built from these fundamental rooms. The walls of these rooms are special. They're not solid like brick or stone. They're made of something more like a soap bubble, thin, flexible, always moving slightly. This wall is called a membrane. It holds everything inside together while letting certain things pass through. It's a boundary that knows what belongs and what doesn't. Inside each cell, there's a world of activity. Tiny structures float in a gel-like substance. Each structure has a job. Some make energy. Some build proteins. Some clean up waste. Some store information. They work together like a miniature city, each part depending on the others. If this brings you calm, if you enjoy these quiet journeys through science, I'd love for you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps other people find this peaceful place. And leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. I love knowing where in the world you are as we explore together. The cells in your body aren't all the same. You have about 200 different types. Each type is shaped for its specific purpose, but at their most basic, they all share the same fundamental design. A wall to hold things in, a control center to give instructions, little machines to do the work. It's a design so perfect, it's been used for billions of years. What makes a cell truly remarkable is that it's alive on its own. Take a single cell from your body, give it the right conditions, and it will continue living. It will eat nutrients. It will produce waste. It will respond to changes. It will carry out its function. This tiny room contains everything needed for life. Your cells don't need you to tell them what to do. Right now, as you lie here, they're working without any thought from you. Your heart cells are beating. Your lung cells are exchanging oxygen. Your stomach cells are digesting. Your brain cells are processing these very words. All of it happening automatically in trillions of tiny rooms. Each cell is about 10 micrometers across. A micrometer is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. To put that in perspective, about 10 cells could fit across the width of a human hair. They're invisible to your naked eye. An entire universe too small to see, yet you're made entirely of it. And here's something beautiful. Every single one of your cells came from other cells. Cells make new cells by dividing in two. 1 becomes 2. 2 becomes 4. 4 becomes 8. Your body makes about 25 million new cells every second. Old ones die, new ones replace them. The rooms are constantly being rebuilt. Inside these rooms, life continues its ancient work. The same work it's been doing since the first cells appeared on Earth billions of years ago. Your cells carry that history. They're part of an unbroken chain stretching back to the beginning of life itself. And they're doing it all while you rest here, preparing for sleep. These tiny rooms are where everything begins. But just how small are these rooms? Let's find out. Take a grain of salt from your kitchen. Hold it between your fingers. That tiny crystal seems small, doesn't it? Now imagine something 50 times smaller than that. That's the size of one of your cells. You could line up 50 cells end to end across a single grain of salt. Or think about it this way. Take the period at the end of this sentence. If you could see one on a page in front of you, about 200 cells could fit inside that tiny dot. 200 complete living rooms, each one functioning, each one alive, all hidden in a space smaller than the point of a pen. Your skin right now, the part touching your pillow or your sheets, contains millions of cells in just that small patch. The tip of your finger has about 50 million cells packed into it. 50 million tiny rooms in a space the size of a fingertip. They're stacked in layers, organized in structures, all working together so perfectly you never think about them. If you could shrink down and walk through your body, you'd see these cells everywhere, like standing in a massive warehouse filled with tiny boxes. Except the boxes are alive. The boxes are rooms. And inside each room, smaller things are moving, working, building, creating. A single drop of your blood holds about 5 million red blood cells. One drop, 5 million cells, each one carrying oxygen, each one making a circuit through your body every 20 seconds. They flow through vessels so narrow that the cells have to squeeze through single file, like people walking through a tight hallway. The average human cell is about 10 micrometers wide. To picture that, imagine a meter stick. Now, divide it into 1 million equal pieces. 10 of those pieces lined up would equal the width of one cell. It's a measurement so small our minds struggle to grasp it. Yet cells aren't the smallest things in your body. Inside each cell are things even tinier. Proteins that are 1,000 times smaller than the cell itself. DNA strands thinner than light itself. Your body operates at scales that disappear into impossibility. Here's something that helps put it in perspective. If you made a human cell the size of a basketball, the proteins inside it would be about the size of rice grains. The DNA would be like thread, and the atoms that make up everything would be smaller than specks of dust. All of this machinery working in something you can't even see. On the head of a pin, you could fit about 10,000 cells. They'd be packed together like a crowd in a stadium, each one a complete living system, each one containing thousands of working parts, each one carrying out its purpose without any instruction from you. Your body replaces about 330 billion cells every single day. That's more cells than there are people on Earth. Every day, they're born, they work, they die, new ones take their place. This happens at a scale below your awareness, below your vision, in a world you carry but cannot see. The smallest cells in your body are about 2 micrometers across. These are some of your brain cells, your neurons. The largest are about 100 micrometers. Those are some of your egg cells if you're female, or certain nerve cells that can stretch long distances. But even the largest cells are still invisible without a microscope. Stand in front of a mirror. Look at your hand. The skin you see is actually dead cells. The living cells are underneath, hidden. You're looking at the outer layer of rooms that have already completed their work. Beneath them, millions of living rooms continue the work of being you. Right now, you're shedding about 30,000 to 40,000 skin cells every minute. They fall away like dust. You leave a trail of dead cells wherever you go. Your couch is covered in them. Your bed, your floor. Tiny rooms that once were part of you, now returning to dust. But for every cell that falls away, a new one rises to take its place. The rooms beneath are constantly pushing upward, building, replacing, maintaining. Your skin completely renews itself about every 28 days. A whole new surface. The same you, but entirely rebuilt. All of this happening in a realm smaller than imagination, a world that exists just beneath the surface of everything you can see. Your body is a universe operating at the edge of the invisible, and it never stops. Now, let's look at what holds these tiny rooms together. Every cell needs a wall, something to separate inside from outside, something to say, this is me, and that is not me. But the walls of your cells aren't like the walls of a house. They're not solid, they're not still. They're more like the surface of a soap bubble, thin, flexible, always moving. This wall is called a membrane. It's made of fat molecules arranged in 2 layers. These fat molecules are special. One end loves water, the other end hates it. So they arrange themselves head to tail, creating a barrier that's only 2 molecules thick. That's it. 2 molecules standing between the living interior of your cell and the world outside. Think about how thin paper is. Now, imagine something 10,000 times thinner. That's your cell membrane. Yet, this impossibly thin boundary holds everything inside your cells in place. It keeps the contents from spilling out. It maintains the exact environment each cell needs to survive. But here's what makes it remarkable. This wall isn't a solid barrier. It's more like a screen door. Some things can pass through, others cannot. The membrane decides what enters and what leaves. Water can slip through easily, so can oxygen. Your cells need both constantly, so the membrane lets them pass freely. Small molecules can often squeeze through the gaps. They wiggle between the fat molecules and pop inside. But larger molecules can't get through on their own. Proteins, sugars, important nutrients, they're too big to fit through the tiny spaces. So, your cell membrane has special doors built into it. These are proteins that sit in the membrane like tunnels through a wall. Some of these doors are always open. Certain molecules can walk right through whenever they want. Other doors are locked. They only open when the right signal arrives. It's like a nightclub with a bouncer who checks IDs. Not everyone gets in. Your cells use this system to control everything. They pump in what they need. They push out what they don't. Sodium goes out. Potassium comes in. Calcium waits outside, until the cell calls for it. Then, special doors open and calcium rushes in, like water through a dam. The membrane can also change shape. When a cell needs to eat something too large to fit through the doors, the membrane reaches out and wraps around it. The membrane folds inward, creating a bubble that brings the food inside. It's like the cell is swallowing. This process happens constantly in some of your immune cells. which eat bacteria whole. The surface of a cell membrane isn't smooth. It's covered in proteins that stick out like antennae. These proteins act as sensors. They detect chemicals outside the cell. They receive signals from other cells. They identify the cell to the immune system, like a passport that says, "I belong here." Other proteins in the membrane work like anchors. They connect to structures inside the cell and help maintain its shape. Still others form connections with neighboring cells, linking them together like holding hands. The membrane isn't just a wall, it's a communication device, a sensor array, a selective gateway. The membrane is also self-healing. If something pokes a small hole in it, the fat molecules automatically flow together to seal the gap. The membrane wants to stay intact. It's in the nature of those fat molecules to arrange themselves into a complete bubble. Damage disturbs that arrangement, and the molecules quickly fix it. Your cell membranes are constantly moving. The fat molecules slide around each other like people in a crowd. Proteins float through the membrane like boats on water. Nothing is fixed in place. It's called a fluid mosaic, a flowing pattern of parts working together. This thin, flexible, intelligent barrier surrounds every single one of your 37 trillion cells. It protects them, feeds them, connects them, all while being thinner than a whisper. Your cells live inside these bubbles of fat, separated from the world by almost nothing, yet perfectly protected. Inside those protective walls lives something extraordinary. At the center of most of your cells sits a sphere. It's the largest structure inside the cell, taking up about 10% of the total space. This is the nucleus, the command center, the library that holds all the instructions for being you. The nucleus has its own membrane, just like the cell itself. Another double layer of fat molecules, another selective barrier. But this membrane has larger doors, thousands of them, letting information flow in and out constantly. Inside the nucleus, coiled and packed impossibly tight, is your DNA. This is the instruction manual for building and running a human being. Every cell in your body, except red blood cells, contains a complete copy of this manual. Every cell carries the full blueprint. DNA is a molecule shaped like a twisted ladder. Two long strands wind around each other in a spiral. The rungs of the ladder are made of 4 different chemicals. Scientists call them A, T, G, and C. That's it. 4 letters. The entire alphabet of life. But those 4 letters, arranged in the right order, contain everything needed to make you. The color of your eyes, the shape of your nose, how tall you grew, how your brain processes words, how your heart beats, all written in combinations of A, T, G, and C. Your DNA contains about 3 billion of these letters. 3 billion instructions packed into the nucleus of each cell. If you stretched out all the DNA from a single cell, it would be about 2 meters long. 2 meters of instructions crammed into a space smaller than a speck of dust. If you unraveled all the DNA from all your cells and laid it end to end, it would stretch from Earth to the Sun and back more than 600 times. That's how much information you're carrying. All of it neatly coiled and packed away in nuclei throughout your body. The DNA doesn't just sit there, it's constantly being read. Special proteins move along the strands like readers scanning a page. They find specific sections, copy the instructions, and carry those copies out through the nuclear membrane into the cell. These copies are messages, recipes, instructions for building proteins. The cell reads these messages and assembles proteins according to the code. One protein might be part of your hair. Another might be an enzyme that digests food. Another might be a signal that tells other cells what to do. Your cells make about 2 million proteins every second, all based on instructions copied from DNA in the nucleus. The command center sends out constant messages, and the rest of the cell follows orders. What's beautiful is that the same DNA in your skin cell is also in your brain cell. The same instructions. But skin cells read different parts of the manual than brain cells do. It's like having a cookbook where some people only make the desserts and others only make the main courses. Same book, different recipes. The nucleus also stores DNA in a special way. The long strands are wrapped around protein spools like thread on a bobbin. These spools keep the DNA organized and protected. When it's time to read a particular section, the DNA unwinds just enough to expose those instructions. Then it winds back up. When a cell needs to divide and create 2 new cells, the nucleus performs an incredible task. It copies all 3 billion letters of DNA, every single one. The twisted ladder unzips down the middle, and each half serves as a template to build a new matching half. 1 cell's worth of DNA becomes 2 perfect copies. The nucleus works constantly, but quietly. No thought required from you. Right now, in millions of your cells, DNA is being read. Messages are being copied. Instructions are being sent out. The command center never sleeps. It can't. Your life depends on these continuous orders flowing from nucleus to cell. This library at the center of each cell connects you to your parents. Half your DNA came from your mother, half from your father. Their instructions mixed together to create the unique manual that built you. And before them, their parents. And before them, their parents. An unbroken chain of copied instructions going back thousands of generations. Those instructions from the nucleus go somewhere. They reach tiny machines scattered throughout the cell. The space between the nucleus and the cell membrane isn't empty. It's filled with a gel-like substance called cytoplasm. And floating in that gel are structures called organelles, little organs. Each one has a specific job. Together, they keep the cell alive. The most important organelles are your mitochondria. These are the power plants. They take the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe and turn them into energy your cells can use. Every cell contains hundreds of mitochondria. Some cells, like muscle cells that need lots of power, have thousands. Mitochondria are shaped like beans or sausages. They have 2 membranes, one inside the other. The inner membrane is folded into ridges, creating more surface area for the chemical reactions that produce energy. These reactions happen constantly. Right now, your mitochondria are burning fuel and making energy in every cell of your body. Here's something strange. Mitochondria have their own DNA, not the same DNA as in your nucleus, their own separate instructions. That's because billions of years ago, mitochondria were independent bacteria. They got absorbed into larger cells and never left. Now, they live inside your cells, still keeping some of their own identity, still carrying their own genetic code. Next are the ribosomes. These are the factories that build proteins. They're much smaller than mitochondria. Each cell contains millions of them. Some float freely in the cytoplasm. Others attach to a maze-like structure called the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is a network of folded membranes that winds through the cell like hallways in a building. Ribosomes on its surface build proteins that need to leave the cell or get embedded in membranes. It's like an assembly line in a factory, with products moving along the line as they're built. Once proteins are made, they often go to the Golgi apparatus. This organelle looks like a stack of pancakes made of membrane. The Golgi takes proteins, modifies them, packages them, and ships them to wherever they need to go. It's the cell's post office, sorting and sending packages. Some packages need to be stored. That's where vesicles come in. These are tiny bubbles of membrane filled with various substances. They float through the cytoplasm, carrying cargo from place to place. Some vesicles fuse with the cell membrane and dump their contents outside. Others bring things from outside into the cell. Then there are lysosomes. These are the cleanup crew. They're filled with powerful enzymes that break down waste, old cell parts, and bacteria that get captured. They're like recycling centers, taking things apart so the materials can be reused. Your cells also have a skeleton, not made of bone, but of protein fibers. These fibers crisscross the cytoplasm, giving the cell its shape and helping things move around inside. Some fibers act like rails, and motor proteins walk along them, carrying cargo. It's an internal highway system. All these organelles work together without any central coordination. There's no boss telling them what to do. They follow chemical signals. They respond to their environment. When energy is low, mitochondria work harder. When proteins are needed, ribosomes build more. The system regulates itself. The cytoplasm isn't still water. It's more like a thick soup constantly being stirred. Organelles move, molecules flow. Everything is in motion. This movement helps distribute nutrients and signals throughout the cell. What's remarkable is the scale of this activity. In a single second, one ribosome can link together 20 amino acids to build a protein chain. Your cells contain millions of ribosomes. Mitochondria produce molecules of cellular energy at a rate of about 1,000 per second per mitochondrion, and you have trillions of mitochondria. The math becomes dizzying. The activity happening inside your cells every second is beyond counting. Millions of proteins being built, billions of energy molecules being created. Countless chemical reactions proceeding in perfect order, and none of it requires your attention. You don't have to think about making energy. You don't have to tell your ribosomes to build proteins. The machines inside your cells run themselves, following ancient patterns, doing what life has always done, working quietly while you rest. But cells don't work alone. They talk to each other. Imagine 37 trillion separate rooms, all needing to coordinate. Heart cells must beat together. Stomach cells must release acid at the right time. Brain cells must fire in patterns. None of this would work if cells couldn't communicate. They talk through chemicals. One cell releases a molecule, and another cell detects it. That's the entire language. Simple molecules floating through space, carrying messages. Some messages travel far. Your pancreas releases insulin into your bloodstream. That insulin flows throughout your entire body, reaching cells in your muscles, your liver, your fat tissue. Each cell with the right receptor catches the message and responds. Store sugar, the insulin says, and billions of cells obey. Other messages only go to neighbors. A nerve cell releases chemicals into the tiny gap between itself and the next nerve cell. These chemicals cross the gap in less than a millisecond. The next cell receives the signal and passes it along. This is how thoughts move through your brain. One cell whispering to the next, creating chains of signals that become consciousness. The membrane proteins we talked about earlier serve as receivers. They're like radio antennas built into the cell wall. When the right chemical touches the right protein, the protein changes shape. That shape change triggers events inside the cell. It's a lock and key system. Only the right molecule fits the right receptor. One hormone can trigger thousands of cellular responses. Adrenaline hits your heart cells, and they beat faster. It hits your lung cells, and airways open wider. It hits your liver cells, and they release stored sugar. Same signal, different responses, depending on what type of cell receives it. Your immune cells are constantly talking. When one cell encounters a virus, it releases alarm signals. Nearby cells pick up these signals and go on alert. They call for backup. More immune cells arrive. The conversation spreads through your body like ripples in water, all happening in chemical whispers you never hear. Cells also communicate through direct contact. Some cells have proteins on their surface that connect to proteins on neighboring cells. These connections create channels. Small molecules can pass directly from one cell to another through these tunnels. Heart muscle cells use this system. They're electrically connected, allowing the contraction signal to spread instantly across the entire heart. Even your cell's timing depends on communication. Every cell has an internal clock, but those clocks need to stay synchronized. Special cells in your brain keep the master clock, responding to light and darkness. They send chemical signals throughout your body, telling other cells what time it is. This is why you feel tired now. Your cells are receiving the nighttime message. The language of cells has no words, no grammar, just molecules fitting into receptors and triggering changes. Yet this simple system coordinates everything. Your temperature stays steady. Your blood sugar stays balanced. Your organs work together, all through chemical conversations happening too small and too fast to perceive. Sometimes cells send signals to themselves. They release a chemical and then detect it with their own receptors. It's like talking to yourself, but it serves a purpose. The cell is checking its own status, regulating its own behavior through feedback loops. The amount of communication happening right now is staggering. Every second, your cells send and receive millions of chemical messages. Hormones flowing through blood, neurotransmitters jumping between nerves, local signals moving between neighbors, growth factors, stress signals, all of it creating a constant conversation that keeps you alive. And here's what makes it peaceful to think about. This communication requires nothing from you. You don't have to manage these conversations. You don't have to tell your cells what to say or when to listen. They've been doing this since before you were born, since the first cell divided into two. The language is older than words, older than thought, and it continues now in perfect silence. That silent communication allows cells to do something remarkable. They build and repair. Right now, somewhere in your body, cells are fixing damage you don't even know exists. A scratch you got yesterday, a muscle fiber you tore during a stretch, dead cells that need replacing. Your body is a construction site that never closes. Think about the last time you cut your finger, maybe slicing vegetables or opening a package. The skin split open, blood appeared, it hurt. Then, without you doing anything, it healed. You didn't have to instruct the healing. You didn't have to think about it. Your cells just knew what to do. Here's what happened in that cut. Blood cells arrived first, clotting to stop the bleeding. They formed a plug, a temporary seal. Then immune cells showed up, cleaning the wound, eating bacteria, removing debris. They were preparing the site for construction. Next came the builders. Skin cells at the edges of the cut received chemical signals, telling them to multiply. They started dividing faster than normal. 1 cell became 2. 2 became 4. 4 became 8. New cells pushed forward into the gap. At the same time, cells below the surface were building scaffolding. They laid down proteins like collagen, creating a framework. Other cells moved along this framework toward the center of the wound. Slowly, from both sides, they met in the middle. Blood vessel cells grew new capillaries into the healing tissue. These tiny blood vessels brought oxygen and nutrients to feed the construction work. The whole area became a busy site of cellular activity. Millions of cells working in coordination, rebuilding what was lost. The entire process took days or weeks, depending on the size of the cut. But every step happened automatically. Cells received signals. They divided. They moved. They built. They formed new skin where there was none. Eventually, the cut disappeared, replaced by fresh tissue. This same process happens constantly throughout your body. Your stomach lining replaces itself every few days. The acid in your stomach is so strong, it would burn through metal. Yet, your stomach cells keep rebuilding the protective layer faster than acid can destroy it. Your bones are always being rebuilt. Special cells called osteoclasts dissolve old bone. Other cells called osteoblasts build new bone in its place. Your entire skeleton is replaced every 10 years. The bones you have now aren't the bones you had a decade ago. Same shape, different atoms, rebuilt cell by cell. Your liver can regenerate. If part of it gets damaged or removed, liver cells start dividing to replace what's lost. You can lose up to 75% of your liver, and it will grow back. The cells know how much to build. They stop when the liver reaches the right size again. Even your brain makes new cells, though not as many as once thought. In certain areas, new neurons form throughout your life. They integrate into existing circuits. They help you learn and remember. The brain you have today contains cells that didn't exist last year. Muscle cells repair themselves after exercise. When you work out, you create tiny tears in muscle fibers. This triggers those fibers to rebuild stronger and thicker. The soreness you feel is the construction work happening inside. Cells are repairing and reinforcing. Your body makes about 25 million new cells every single second. That number is hard to comprehend. Every second of every day. Some replacing dead cells, some repairing damage, some growing in response to need. The construction never stops. And all of this building follows the instructions in your DNA. The same blueprints in every cell. Skin cells know to build skin. Bone cells know to build bone. Liver cells know to build liver. They read different parts of the manual, but they all work from the same book. What's peaceful about this is the reliability. Your cells have been doing this work since you were born. They'll keep doing it as long as you live. The quiet construction continues, whether you're awake or asleep, busy or resting, thinking about it or not. But where did this all begin? Where did the first cells come from? We need to go back in time, way back, about 3.8 billion years ago. Earth was a different planet then. No plants, no animals, no oxygen in the air, just rock and water and violent chemistry. In the ancient oceans, molecules were bumping into each other constantly. Simple chemicals combining by chance. Most combinations fell apart immediately, but sometimes, rarely, molecules would stick together in ways that were stable. These combinations could last. Over millions of years, some of these molecular combinations became more complex. Chains of molecules, bubbles of fat. Eventually, something extraordinary happened. A bubble formed around a collection of molecules that could copy themselves. The first cell was born. We don't know exactly how it happened. We weren't there to see it, but we know it happened at least once, because you're here. Every living thing on Earth today descends from that first self-copying bubble. Every cell in your body traces its lineage back to that ancient beginning. Those early cells were simple, much simpler than yours. They had no nucleus, no mitochondria, no complex machinery, just a membrane and some basic molecules inside. But they could do the one thing that mattered. They could make copies of themselves. One cell became two. Two became four. These early cells spread through the oceans. They fed on chemicals dissolved in the water. They divided when they had enough resources. They died when conditions were bad. But enough survived to keep the chain going. For billions of years, all life on Earth was single cells. Just microscopic bubbles floating in water. Then, about 2 billion years ago, something changed. One cell swallowed another, but didn't digest it. The swallowed cell survived inside. This was the ancestor of mitochondria, a separate organism that became part of a larger cell. This partnership was revolutionary. The inner cell provided power. The outer cell provided protection. Together, they could do things neither could do alone. These were the first complex cells, the ancestors of every cell in your body. Later, some cells started living in colonies, groups of cells sticking together. At first, they were all identical, but over time, cells in the colony began to specialize. Some became good at gathering food, others at reproduction, others at defense. The colony became an organism. This is how multicellular life began. Cells working together, each taking on different roles. Eventually, those colonies became fish, then land animals, then mammals, then primates, then humans. But at the core, we're still made of cells using the same basic design as those ancient bubbles. Your cells carry that history. The DNA in your nucleus contains sequences that existed billions of years ago. Parts of your genetic code are so old they exist in bacteria, in plants, in every living thing. You share genetic instructions with mushrooms, with trees, with the bacteria in soil. This means every cell in your body is part of an unbroken chain. For 3.8 billion years, cells have been dividing, passing on their instructions to the next generation. Not a single break in that chain. Every cell that makes you came from a cell before it, and that cell came from a cell before it. Back and back and back to the beginning. Your cells aren't just in your body. They're in time. They're the latest version of something that started before mountains existed, before continents formed, before the sun was even its current brightness. Your cells are ancient things, carrying out ancient work, using methods perfected over billions of years. And they're still here, still dividing, still building, still following instructions written in the earliest days of life on Earth. From those ancient cells came an incredible variety. Your body contains about 200 different types of cells, each one specialized for a specific job. Look at your skin. The cells there are flat and layered like tiles on a roof. They form tight seals with their neighbors, creating a waterproof barrier. These cells are built for protection. They're constantly being worn away and replaced, forming the first line of defense between you and the world. Now think about your muscles. Muscle cells are long and cylindrical, like cables. They contain special proteins that can slide past each other, making the cell contract. When millions of these cells contract together, your arm moves, your heart beats, you stand up. Each muscle cell is shaped like a fiber because that's the most efficient form for pulling. Your nerve cells look completely different. They have a round body with long, thin branches extending out. Some of these branches can be a meter long. A single nerve cell in your spine can reach all the way down to your toes. It's the longest cell type in your body, shaped like a wire because it carries electrical signals across distances. Red blood cells are shaped like discs pinched in the middle. This gives them more surface area for carrying oxygen. They're also flexible, able to squeeze through capillaries narrower than they are, and they have no nucleus. They threw it away during development to make more room for oxygen-carrying proteins. White blood cells are different. They're round and can change shape. Some of them can actually crawl. They push out parts of their membrane like feet and pull themselves along. When they detect bacteria, they extend these temporary limbs and engulf the invaders. Shapeshifters designed for hunting. Fat cells are designed for storage. They're round with a huge droplet of fat taking up most of the interior. The nucleus and other organelles get pushed to the edges. One fat cell can swell to many times its original size as it stores more energy. They're like balloons that inflate and deflate based on your energy needs. Bone cells sit in tiny caves they've built for themselves. They're surrounded by the hard mineral matrix they created. They have long, thin branches that reach through tunnels in the bone to touch neighboring cells. This network lets them sense stress on the bone and signal when reinforcement is needed. Your stomach cells produce acid. They have special pumps in their membranes that concentrate hydrogen ions, creating an environment acidic enough to break down food. These cells live in one of the harshest places in your body, constantly replacing themselves. As the acid they produce wears them away, cells in your eyes are photoreceptors. Rod cells detect light and dark. Cone cells detect color. They contain special proteins that change shape when light hits them, starting a signal that becomes vision. These cells are so sensitive that a rod cell can respond to a single photon, the smallest possible unit of light. Even your hair is made of cells. Dead cells, actually. Hair cells fill themselves with a tough protein called keratin, then die. What's left is a strong, flexible strand. The same thing happens with your fingernails. Living cells at the base produce dead, hardened cells that form the nail. Each cell type has the exact same DNA, the same instruction manual, but they read different chapters. A muscle cell turns on genes for contraction proteins. A nerve cell turns on genes for signal transmission. A fat cell turns on genes for storage. Same book, different pages, creating different outcomes. This diversity all comes from that same basic design. A membrane, a nucleus, organelles floating in cytoplasm. But by changing shape, size, and which proteins they make, cells can become anything the body needs. But what are these cells actually made of? Where did the materials come from? Every cell in your body contains carbon. It's the backbone of all your proteins, your DNA, your membranes. Carbon is what makes life possible. But carbon wasn't here when Earth formed. It came from somewhere else. Inside stars, hydrogen atoms fuse together under tremendous pressure and heat. This fusion creates helium. Then helium fuses to create carbon. Then carbon fuses with helium to create oxygen. Heavier and heavier elements form as the star ages, each one forged in nuclear fire. When a massive star runs out of fuel, it explodes. The explosion is called a supernova, and it's one of the brightest events in the universe. That explosion scatters all the elements the star created across space: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, calcium, all of it thrown into the cosmic void. These scattered elements drift through space as clouds of gas and dust. Eventually, gravity pulls the clouds together. They collapse, forming new stars and planets. Our solar system formed this way about 4.6 billion years ago. Earth condensed from a cloud of stardust. The calcium in your bones was made in a star. The iron in your blood was forged in stellar cores. The oxygen you're breathing right now was created by nuclear fusion billions of years ago. You are made of elements that once existed inside dying stars. Your cells are just fancy arrangements of stardust. Carbon atoms linking together in chains. Oxygen atoms forming water. Nitrogen atoms in your DNA. Phosphorus atoms in your cell membranes. Every atom in your body, except hydrogen, came from a star. Think about that. The carbon in the DNA inside your nucleus traveled across space for billions of years. It was part of a gas cloud, then part of Earth, then part of ancient oceans, then part of simple organisms, then part of plants and animals. Now it's part of you, arranged in precise patterns inside 37 trillion cells. You share atoms with everything that ever lived. Some of the carbon in your body was once in a dinosaur. Some of the oxygen was in a tree that grew 1,000 years ago. Some of the nitrogen was in bacteria that lived in ancient seas. Atoms move through the cycle of life and death, never destroyed, always reused. Right now, your cells are temporarily holding these atoms together. Your body is borrowing them from the universe. When you breathe out, carbon dioxide leaves your body. Those carbon atoms will become part of the air. A plant might use them, or they might dissolve in the ocean. Eventually, they'll become part of something else. The atoms in your cells are ancient. Most of them are billions of years old. They've been part of countless other structures before becoming part of you. And they'll be part of countless other structures after you're gone. You're a temporary pattern made of permanent pieces. But here's what makes it special. Those atoms, arranged just right inside your cells, create something the universe has never seen before. You, your thoughts, your memories, your personality. The same carbon that once floated dead in space now thinks and feels and dreams because of how it's organized inside your cells. Your cells take cosmic dust and turn it into life. They take elements forged in stellar explosions and arrange them into consciousness. The universe has been around for 13.8 billion years, but it's only been aware of itself for a tiny fraction of that time. And it's aware through arrangements like you, through cells organizing stardust. The next time you look at stars, remember that you're looking at the source. Those distant points of light are still making the elements your body needs. Somewhere out there, a star is fusing carbon right now. In a few billion years, that carbon might become part of a living cell. The cycle continues. You're not separate from the cosmos. You're part of it, made from it. Your cells are where the universe becomes alive. those cosmic atoms don't stay in your cells forever. Cells have lifespans. They're born, they work, they die, then new cells take their place. Different types of cells live for different lengths of time. Some of your cells are only a few days old, others have been with you for years. Right now, your body contains cells of every age, from newborns to veterans. The cells lining your small intestine live for about 3 to 5 days. That's it. They're in a harsh environment, constantly exposed to digestive acids and passing food. They wear out quickly, so they're replaced constantly. Your entire intestinal lining is new every week. Your skin cells live longer, but not much. The outer layer of skin cells lasts about 2 to 4 weeks before falling away. You're constantly shedding dead skin. The dust in your home is partly made of your old cells. Every month, you have completely new skin covering your body. Red blood cells live for about 120 days, 4 months. They circulate through your bloodstream, carrying oxygen, until they wear out. Then your spleen filters them out and breaks them down. Your bone marrow makes new ones to replace them. About 2 million red blood cells die every second, and 2 million new ones are born. White blood cells have varying lifespans depending on their type. Some live for days, others for months. A few specialized immune cells can live for years, remembering infections you had long ago and staying ready in case those infections return. Your liver cells live for about a year to a year and a half. Then they're replaced. This is why your liver can regenerate so well. The cells are already used to dying and being replaced. Damage just speeds up a process that happens naturally. Cells in your heart muscle can last your entire lifetime. They rarely divide. The heart you were born with is mostly the same heart you have now, but even heart cells replace their parts. Proteins get recycled, organelles get renewed. The cell persists, but its contents are constantly updated. Bone cells live for about 25 to 30 years before being replaced. Your skeleton completely renews itself roughly every 10 years. The bones you have now aren't the same bones you had a decade ago. Same shape, same structure, different atoms, different cells. Brain cells also last a long time. Most neurons don't divide after you're born. The neurons you have now are decades old. Some of them have been with you since childhood. They're the oldest cells in your body, carrying memories in their connections. But here's what this means. Over time, you're completely replaced. The you from 7 years ago is not the you right now, at least not at the cellular level. Almost every cell has been swapped out. You're the same person, but you're made of different parts. This happens so gradually, you never notice. One cell dies, another takes its place. The replacement looks the same, acts the same, carries the same instructions, but it's technically new. Your body maintains its pattern while constantly replacing its pieces. It's like a river. The water flowing through it is always new, but the river stays the same. Same banks, same path, same name. Your body is that river. Your cells are the water, flowing through, never quite the same molecules twice. This constant renewal is why you can heal, why you can grow, why damage isn't permanent. Your cells know how to replace themselves. They've been doing it since you were born. They'll keep doing it for as long as you live. And the peaceful part is this: you don't have to manage the schedule. You don't have to decide when a skin cell dies or when a new red blood cell forms. The timing happens automatically. Your cells know their lifespans. They work until it's time. Then they make way for the next generation. Right now, old cells are dying. New cells are being born. The ancient rhythm of renewal continues in the quiet darkness inside you. Through all that dying and replacing, the cooperation never stops. Your cells work together in ways that would be impossible alone. Take one of your muscle cells and put it by itself. It will die quickly. It can't make everything it needs. It relies on other cells for oxygen, for nutrients, for signals telling it when to contract. Alone, it's helpless. The same goes for every specialized cell in your body. A brain cell can't survive without blood. Cells bringing oxygen. Blood cells can't exist without bone marrow cells making them. Bone marrow needs signals from other cells to know how many blood cells to produce. It's a web of dependence. This is what makes multicellular life possible. Each cell gives up independence to become part of something larger. A skin cell will never reproduce on its own. It's given up that ability. Instead, special stem cells deep in the skin handle reproduction. The skin cell just protects. It has one job, and it depends on other cells to handle everything else. Your stomach cells produce acid, but they can't use that acid themselves. It's for breaking down food in the stomach cavity. Other cells in your intestines absorb the nutrients. The stomach cells never benefit directly from their own work. They're serving the community. Cells even die for each other. When a cell becomes infected with a virus, it can trigger its own death to prevent the virus from spreading. The cell essentially commits suicide to protect its neighbors. This programmed death is called apoptosis, and it happens millions of times a day in your body. Your immune cells are constantly sacrificing themselves. White blood cells that fight infections often die in the process. They engulf bacteria until they're overwhelmed and burst. Other immune cells clean up the debris. The system works because individual cells are expendable. The community matters more. Think about your heart. It contains billions of muscle cells, all contracting in perfect rhythm. If even a few of those cells contracted at the wrong time, the rhythm would fail. But they're connected electrically. The signal to contract spreads from cell to cell like a wave. They beat together because they're listening to each other. Your brain is the ultimate example of cooperation. You have about 86 billion neurons. Each one connects to thousands of others. They form networks of staggering complexity. A single thought requires millions of neurons, firing in coordinated patterns. Consciousness itself emerges from cells working together in ways no single cell could achieve alone. None of your neurons are particularly smart. A neuron is just a cell that can send electrical signals, but connect 86 billion of them in the right way, and somehow they create you, your memories, your personality, your ability to read these words. It's cooperation on a scale that produces something entirely new. Your cells communicate so well that you feel like a single entity. You don't feel like 37 trillion separate organisms. You feel like one person. That unity is an illusion created by cooperation so seamless you can't detect the boundaries. Right now, your cells are coordinating activities you're not even aware of. Your pancreas is monitoring blood sugar and releasing insulin when needed. Your kidneys are filtering blood and adjusting fluid balance. Your lungs are exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. Your gut is absorbing nutrients. All of this happens simultaneously, and all of it requires cells working together. If any one system failed, the others would feel it. Your cells are so interdependent that the death of one group affects everyone. This is why organ failure is so serious. It's not just that organ cells dying. It's the breakdown of cooperation that supported the whole body. But when everything works, when all 37 trillion cells coordinate their efforts, the result is you. A walking, thinking, feeling community of cells so integrated that it experiences itself as one. That community of 37 trillion cells started as one, a single cell. You began there. When a sperm cell met an egg cell, they fused together. Their DNA combined. In that moment, you existed as the smallest you'd ever be. One cell containing all the instructions needed to build a complete human being. That first cell was about the size of a grain of sand. You could barely see it with your naked eye. But inside its nucleus was the complete blueprint. All the information for making skin, bones, muscles, nerves, organs, everything. All packed into one tiny room. Then that cell divided. One became two. The two cells were identical copies, each with a full set of instructions. Then those two divided, becoming four. Four became 8. 8 became 16. The divisions happened every few hours at first, faster than your cells divide now. This is called cleavage. The cells split rapidly without growing much between divisions. The total size stayed about the same, but the number of cells kept doubling. After a week, you were a hollow ball of about 100 cells, still smaller than the original egg. At this point, you were still just identical cells. None of them were specialized yet. They all had the same DNA, and they were all reading the same parts of it. But that was about to change. As the ball of cells continued dividing, some cells ended up on the outside, and others on the inside. The ones on the outside received different chemical signals than the ones on the inside. These different signals told them to read different parts of the DNA. The cells began to specialize. Outer cells started becoming one type. Inner cells became another. A third group formed between them. These 3 layers would eventually become everything in your body. Outer layer cells would make your skin and nervous system. Middle layer cells would make your muscles and bones. Inner layer cells would make your digestive system and lungs. The instructions for all of this were in the DNA. Cells didn't decide randomly what to become. They followed chemical gradients. Cells at one end of the embryo received signals that said, "You're the head." Cells at the other end received signals that said, "You're the tail." Each cell responded to its position and became what it needed to be. Cells kept dividing, kept specializing. Some became heart cells and started beating, even though there was no blood to pump yet. They were practicing their rhythm weeks before birth. Other cells became nerve cells and started forming connections, building the networks that would become your brain. Some cells moved. They crawled through the developing embryo, following chemical trails to their final destinations. Blood vessel cells spread throughout your body, forming the circulatory system. Nerve cells extended long branches, reaching out to muscles and organs. By the time you were born, you had about 26 billion cells. That's a lot, but it's less than 1% of what you have now. You kept growing, cells kept dividing, more and more rooms being added to the building that is you. The amazing thing is that it all happened from instructions. No one was directing traffic. No one was deciding which cell became what. The DNA contained the plan, and chemical signals activated different parts of the plan in different cells at different times. You went from one cell to trillions by following a recipe written billions of years ago and refined through countless generations. The same process that built your ancestors built you. The same instructions that made the first humans made you. One cell dividing, specializing, organizing, becoming complex, becoming you. But not all cells work the way yours do. Some cells do something you can't. They capture light and turn it into food. Plant cells look similar to your cells at first glance. They have a membrane, a nucleus, mitochondria, DNA, all the basic machinery. But they have something extra, something that changes everything. Inside plant cells are structures called chloroplasts. These are similar to mitochondria, but they do the opposite job. Mitochondria burn food to make energy. Chloroplasts capture energy from sunlight to make food. Chloroplasts are green because they contain a molecule called chlorophyll. This molecule absorbs red and blue light from the sun, but reflects green light back to your eyes. That's why plants look green. You're seeing the light they don't use. Inside each chloroplast, chlorophyll molecules are arranged in precise patterns. When sunlight hits them, the energy knocks electrons loose. Those electrons start moving through a chain of proteins, like a tiny electrical current. This current powers the creation of sugar molecules. The plant cell takes in carbon dioxide from the air. It takes in water from the soil. Using energy from sunlight, it combines these simple ingredients into glucose, a sugar. This process is called photosynthesis. Photo means light. Synthesis means making things with light. The equation is simple. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water, powered by light, become 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. The plant keeps the glucose for food. The oxygen gets released into the air. That oxygen is the air you breathe. Every breath you take contains oxygen that was made by plant cells. The tree outside your window is exhaling oxygen right now. Grass in fields, algae in oceans, tiny floating plant cells by the billions, all releasing oxygen as a waste product of making food. This relationship is ancient. Early in Earth's history, there was no oxygen in the atmosphere. Then, simple cells with chloroplasts evolved. They started photosynthesizing. They released oxygen. Over millions of years, that oxygen built up in the air. Eventually, there was enough oxygen for other cells to use it. That's when mitochondria became useful. They could burn food using oxygen to create energy. Your cells rely on oxygen because plant cells spent billions of years making it. You and plants are partners, though you never think about it. You breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. You use what they make. They use what you make. The cycle continues every second. One large tree can produce enough oxygen for 2 people for a year. The Amazon rainforest produces about 20% of Earth's oxygen. Tiny ocean algae produce even more, perhaps 50 to 80% of all oxygen on the planet. Most of Earth's oxygen comes from microscopic plant cells floating in seawater. Plant cells also have something your cells don't: a cell wall. This is a rigid structure outside the cell membrane made of cellulose. It gives the plant cell shape and strength. It's why plants can stand upright without skeletons. Their cells have built-in support. This cell wall makes plant cells more rigid than yours. They can't change shape like your white blood cells. They can't move around. They're locked in place by their walls. But that rigidity allows plants to grow tall, to build trunks and stems, to reach toward the sun. The chloroplasts in plant cells are doing something remarkable right now, even at night. They store energy during the day so the plant can use it when the sun is gone. The plant cell lives in cycles, just like you do, active in light, resting in darkness, and all of it powered by the same sunlight that warms your skin. Plant cells have learned to catch that light and turn it into life. While plant cells capture energy from the sun, your cells get their energy another way. They burn fuel, and the furnaces doing that burning are your mitochondria. We talked about mitochondria earlier, but let's look closer at what they actually do. Every second of every day, they're performing one of the most important reactions in your body. They're taking the food you eat and turning it into energy your cells can use. The process is called cellular respiration. It's like burning, but controlled and precise. Your mitochondria take glucose, the sugar from your food, and combine it with oxygen. This releases energy. The byproducts are carbon dioxide and water, which you breathe out and eliminate. Each mitochondrion is shaped like a bean. It has two membranes. The outer membrane is smooth. The inner membrane is folded into hundreds of ridges, called cristae. These folds create more surface area, and that's where the energy production happens. On those inner folds, proteins are arranged in chains. Glucose gets broken down step by step, and electrons flow through these protein chains, like electricity through a wire. This flow of electrons powers the creation of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATP is the energy currency of your cells. ATP is a molecule that stores energy in its chemical bonds. When a cell needs energy to do something, it breaks an ATP molecule and releases that stored energy. Your cells use ATP for everything: moving muscles, sending nerve signals, building proteins, transporting molecules. Every action requires ATP. Your body makes an astonishing amount of ATP every day, about your entire body weight in ATP. If you weigh 70 kilograms, your cells produce 70 kilograms of ATP daily. Not all at once, obviously. ATP gets created, used, and recycled constantly throughout the day. A single mitochondrion can produce about 500 ATP molecules per second, and each of your cells contains hundreds or thousands of mitochondria. Do the math across 37 trillion cells, and the numbers become incomprehensible. ATP production is happening at a scale and speed that defies imagination. This process generates heat. When your mitochondria burn fuel, not all the energy goes into making ATP. Some escapes as warmth. That's where your body heat comes from. You're warm because trillions of tiny furnaces are burning inside your cells right now. Your muscles have more mitochondria than most other cells because they need more energy. When you exercise, your muscle cells can't get ATP fast enough from existing mitochondria, so they make new ones. Regular exercise actually increases the number of mitochondria in your muscle cells. Your brain cells also have lots of mitochondria. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's total energy, despite being only 2% of your body weight. All that thinking, all those signals, all that consciousness requires massive amounts of ATP. When mitochondria aren't working properly, you feel it immediately. Fatigue is often a sign that cells aren't producing enough energy. Some diseases affect mitochondria specifically, and the results are severe because energy production is so fundamental to life. Mitochondria work continuously. They never stop. Right now, as you rest here, they're burning fuel. When you sleep, they keep going. Even in your deepest sleep, your mitochondria are producing the ATP needed to keep your heart beating, your lungs breathing, your brain dreaming. The oxygen you breathe in goes directly to your mitochondria. Every breath you take feeds these cellular furnaces, and every breath you exhale carries away the carbon dioxide they produce. Your breathing exists to serve your mitochondria. These organelles are the reason you need to eat. Food is fuel for mitochondria. The calories in your meals get broken down and delivered to these tiny power plants. They convert those calories into the energy that powers every moment of your life. Right now, the warmth you feel, the energy keeping your heart beating, the power running your thoughts, all of it comes from mitochondria. Billions of years of evolution perfected these cellular furnaces, and they're burning quietly inside you. All that energy your cells produce serves many purposes. Some cells use it to move, to patrol, to protect. These are your immune cells, and they're working right now. Your immune system is not one thing. It's a collection of different cell types, each with its own job. Together, they form an army that defends your body against invaders. Bacteria, viruses, parasites, anything that doesn't belong. White blood cells are the soldiers of this army. Unlike red blood cells that just carry oxygen, white blood cells can move on their own. They crawl through your tissues. They squeeze through blood vessel walls. They go wherever they're needed. Some white blood cells are called neutrophils. They're the first responders. When you get a cut or an infection, they arrive within minutes. They detect chemical signals released by damaged cells and follow those signals to the source. Once there, they start eating bacteria. Neutrophils eat by engulfing. They extend their membrane around a bacterium, wrapping it completely, pulling it inside. Then they release chemicals that destroy it. One neutrophil can eat dozens of bacteria before it dies, and millions of neutrophils are ready to respond at any moment. Other white blood cells are called macrophages. Their name means big eaters. They're larger than neutrophils and live longer. They patrol your tissues constantly, looking for anything suspicious. Dead cells, debris, invaders. They clean up everything. Macrophages can also call for help. When they find something dangerous, they release signals that attract more immune cells. They present pieces of what they've eaten to other cells, showing them what the enemy looks like. This starts a larger immune response. Then there are lymphocytes. These include T cells and B cells. They're the specialist units. T cells can recognize specific threats. Some T cells kill infected cells directly. Others coordinate the immune response, telling other cells what to do. B cells make antibodies. These are Y-shaped proteins that stick to specific invaders. Each B cell makes antibodies against one particular threat. When that threat appears, the B cell starts mass-producing antibodies. Millions of identical proteins flood your bloodstream, marking the invader for destruction. Here's what's remarkable. Your body can make antibodies against things it's never seen before. Your B cells randomly generate different antibody shapes, billions of different shapes. When one happens to fit an invader, that B cell multiplies rapidly. This is how vaccines work. They train your B cells to recognize threats before the real infection comes. Some immune cells remember. After you fight off an infection, a few specialized cells stick around for years, sometimes for life. They remember what that pathogen looked like. If it ever returns, these memory cells trigger a faster, stronger response. You might not even feel sick the second time. Right now, your immune cells are doing their work. Neutrophils are circulating through your blood, ready to respond. Macrophages are crawling through your tissues, cleaning and watching. Lymphocytes are checking everything that passes through your lymph nodes. You never feel most of this activity. Your immune system fights off potential infections constantly without you noticing. Every day, immune cells destroy bacteria and viruses before they can establish infections. The battles happen in silence. When you do feel sick, that's often your immune system working hard. Fever happens because immune cells release chemicals that raise your body temperature. The heat helps kill invaders. Inflammation happens when blood flow increases to bring more immune cells to the problem. The symptoms you hate are actually signs of defense. Your immune cells use enormous amounts of energy. Fighting infections is exhausting work. That's why you feel tired when you're sick. Your immune cells are consuming resources, and there's less energy available for everything else. But even now, in health, they're burning ATP to patrol your body. Silent guardians keeping watch while you rest. All these different cells, all these different jobs, somehow work together perfectly. There's no conductor, no boss. Yet, the symphony plays on. Your heart beats about 100,000 times a day. Each beat requires millions of muscle cells contracting at the exact same moment. Not close to the same moment. The exact same moment. If even a small group contracted out of sync, the rhythm would fail. But it doesn't fail. The cells coordinate flawlessly. They do this through electrical signals. One group of cells in your heart generates a pulse. That pulse spreads through special pathways to all the other heart cells. When the signal arrives, they contract. The wave of contraction moves through the heart in a precise pattern. It's been happening since before you were born, and it will continue until your last moment. Meanwhile, your lungs are coordinating their own rhythm. Nerve cells in your brain send signals to your diaphragm. The diaphragm muscle contracts, pulling air in. Then it relaxes, letting air out. This happens about 20,000 times a day. You don't think about it. The cells handle it automatically. Your digestive system has its own rhythm too. Muscle cells in your intestines contract in waves, pushing food along. This happens whether you're awake or asleep. The cells in your gut follow their own timing, coordinated by local nerve networks that work independently of your brain. Every organ has its own pattern. Your liver cells process toxins continuously. Your kidney cells filter blood at a steady rate. Your skin cells divide on schedule. Each system operates on its own cycle, yet somehow they all support each other. The coordination happens through chemical signals. Hormones released by one organ affect cells throughout your body. Your pancreas monitors blood sugar and releases insulin when needed. That insulin travels to muscle cells, liver cells, and fat cells, telling them all to store glucose. Millions of cells respond to one signal. Your body maintains balance through these signals. Too hot? Cells in your skin release sweat. Too cold? Muscle cells shiver to generate heat. Low on oxygen? Kidney cells release a hormone that tells bone marrow to make more red blood cells. The system regulates itself through constant feedback. The timing is precise. Your cells know what time of day it is. They have internal clocks synchronized to light and darkness. In the morning, certain genes turn on. At night, different genes activate. Cells throughout your body follow this 24-hour cycle. This is why you feel tired now. As darkness falls, cells in your brain release melatonin. This hormone spreads through your body, telling other cells it's time to slow down. Your metabolism shifts. your temperature drops slightly. Your cells prepare for the work of sleep. Because sleep isn't rest for your cells. It's when they do different work. Growth hormone releases. Damaged proteins get cleared away. Memories get consolidated. The brain actually becomes more active during certain sleep stages, while the body repairs itself. All of this coordination happens without central control. There's no cell telling all the others what to do. Instead, each cell responds to its local environment, to signals from neighbors, to hormones in the blood, to the time of day. From these local responses emerges global coordination. Think about it. 37 trillion cells, each following simple rules, creating complex behavior. Heart cells respond to electrical signals. Immune cells respond to chemical markers. Nerve cells respond to neurotransmitters. Each cell does its job, and the collective result is you, alive, functioning, thinking. The symphony has no score. The rhythm has no drummer. Yet every cell plays its part at the right time in the right way. The coordination is so complete, you experience yourself as one being, not trillions of separate entities. And it's all happening right now, in silence, in darkness, in the peaceful space where cells do what they've always done. That cellular harmony isn't unique to you, it's everywhere. Every living thing on Earth uses the same basic design. Look at a tree. Its cells have membranes, nuclei, DNA, ribosomes, the same fundamental structures as your cells. The tree's DNA uses the same four-letter code yours does. A, T, G, and C. Same alphabet, different words, spelling out tree instead of human. A bird's muscle cells contract the same way yours do, using the same proteins, following the same chemical reactions. When a bird's heart beats, it's using the exact same process your heart uses. The cells don't know they're in a bird, they just know how to be muscle cells. Fish cells breathe differently than yours, taking oxygen from water instead of air. But once that oxygen enters their cells, the mitochondria use it the same way. Same process, same ATP production, same cellular respiration. The location changed, but the machinery stayed the same. Even bacteria, the simplest life forms, use the same genetic code. Their DNA spells out instructions using A, T, G, and C. They make proteins the same way your cells do. They have membranes made of similar molecules. The design is universal. This isn't coincidence. It's evidence of shared ancestry. All life on Earth descended from the same origin. That first self-replicating cell passed its design to its descendants. Those descendants modified the design, specialized it, but never abandoned the core principles. Cells with membranes, DNA for instructions, proteins for work. You share about 60% of your DNA with a banana. That sounds absurd until you realize both you and the banana need cells that can divide, make proteins, produce energy, and respond to the environment. Those basic functions require the same genes, so you inherited them from the same ancient ancestor. You share 85% of your DNA with a mouse. Mice are mammals like you. They're warm-blooded. They have hearts, lungs, brains. Their cells do almost everything yours do, just arranged into a different body shape. The cells don't know the difference. You share 98% of your DNA with chimpanzees. That 2% difference accounts for all the distinctions between you and them. But the cells themselves are nearly identical. A chimp's neurons work like your neurons. Their heart cells beat like your heart cells. The difference is in the details, not the foundation. This means you're related to everything alive, not metaphorically, Literally. Your cells and the cells of every plant, animal, fungus, and bacterium on Earth share a common ancestor. Life on this planet is one big family, and cells are what connect us all. When you look at the ocean, remember that the first cells evolved there. When you see a forest, remember that those trees' cells share your basic architecture. When a dog greets you, remember that its cells are doing the same work yours are, following the same ancient patterns. Life could have evolved differently. Cells could have used different molecules, different chemical codes, different structures. But once one design worked, evolution kept it. Modified it? Yes. Specialized it? Absolutely. But the core remained. Cells with membranes and DNA became the standard because the standard worked. This universality is beautiful. It means life found a solution and stuck with it. The cell, in all its complexity, is that solution. Every living thing is a variation on the same theme. Different instruments playing the same fundamental notes. You're not separate from nature. You're made of the same stuff, using the same processes, following the same rules. Your cells connect you to the butterfly outside, to the grass beneath your feet, to the bacteria in your gut. All of us built from the same blueprint. All of us alive in the same basic way. And that design has survived for billions of years, through ice ages and asteroid impacts, through mass extinctions and climate shifts. Cells adapted, evolved, specialized, but never abandoned what worked. The design you carry in your 37 trillion cells is the same design that conquered Earth. That shared design includes something remarkable. Your cells keep time. Inside almost every cell in your body is a clock. Not a clock you can see, but a cycle of genes turning on and off in a rhythm that takes about 24 hours. These molecular clocks tick away constantly, keeping your cells synchronized with the rotation of the Earth. The master clock sits in a tiny region of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's about the size of a grain of rice. This cluster of about 20,000 neurons controls the timing for your entire body. Light is what sets this clock. When light enters your eyes, special cells in your retina detect it and send signals to the master clock. The clock uses this information to stay aligned with the day-night cycle. Morning light tells your cells it's time to wake up. Darkness tells them it's time to prepare for sleep. But here's what's interesting. Even without light, your cells would keep their rhythm. People isolated in caves with no time cues still maintain roughly 24-hour cycles. The clocks are built in. Light just keeps them accurate. These cellular clocks control more than sleep. They regulate it when genes turn on and off throughout the day. In the morning, genes that produce energy and alertness become active. In the evening, different genes activate, ones that promote rest and repair. Your liver cells know what time it is. They ramp up production of certain enzymes during the day when you're likely to eat. At night, they focus on detoxification and storage. Your metabolism shifts based on your cells' internal clocks. Your immune cells follow daily rhythms too. Some immune functions are stronger in the morning. Others peak at night. This is why you often feel sicker in the evening. It's not that infections get worse. It's that your immune response changes throughout the day. Even your skin cells keep time. They divide faster at night. The repair work happens while you sleep. Your body literally rebuilds itself according to a schedule written into your cells. This is why you feel tired right now. As evening arrived, your brain's master clock detected the decreasing light. It signaled the pineal gland to release melatonin. That hormone spread through your bloodstream, reaching cells throughout your body. Melatonin tells your cells it's nighttime. In response, they shift their activities. Your core body temperature drops slightly. Your metabolism slows. Genes related to alertness quiet down. Genes related to rest and repair activate. Your cells are preparing for the work of sleep. This process is ancient. Single-celled organisms had circadian rhythms billions of years ago. They needed to predict when sunlight would arrive for photosynthesis. Even bacteria have molecular clocks. The rhythm of day and night is so fundamental that life built it into the cellular level. You can't fight these clocks easily. Jet lag happens because your cells are still on the old schedule. Shift work is hard because you're asking your cells to be alert when their clocks say it's time to sleep. The rhythm is powerful. It's been refined over billions of years. Right now, every cell in your body is receiving the nighttime message. Your heart knows it's evening. Your lungs know. Your muscles know. They're all winding down together, following the ancient rhythm that connects you to the spinning of the planet. This is why night feels different. It's not just darkness outside. It's darkness inside too, at the cellular level. Your cells are dimming their lights, slowing their work, settling into their nighttime patterns. The cycle will reverse tomorrow. Morning light will reset the clocks. Cells will wake. Genes will activate. The rhythm will begin again. But for now, in this moment, your cells are telling you the same thing they've told every human who ever lived. It's time to rest. So here we are, back where we started. Trillions of tiny rooms, all of them working, all of them alive. Right now, as you lie here, your cells are doing what they've always done. Heart cells are beating. Lung cells are exchanging oxygen. Neurons are firing. Immune cells are patrolling. Skin cells are dividing. The quiet work continues without pause. They don't need your attention. They don't need your permission. They've been doing this since before you had thoughts to think or words to speak. Your cells were working when you were 1 day old. They'll work tomorrow when you wake. The rhythm never stops. Think about everything these cells accomplish. They started as one, that single cell divided and specialized, following instructions written billions of years ago. They built you from stardust, carbon from dying stars, oxygen from ancient supernovas, all of it arranged into living rooms that somehow create consciousness. Your cells connect you to everything, to the first life in ancient oceans, to every plant and animal alive today, to the trees outside and the bacteria in your gut. The same basic design, refined and repeated, creating the diversity of life on Earth. They coordinate without coordination. Millions of processes happening simultaneously. Heart beating, blood flowing, food digesting, waste filtering, damage repairing, all of it synchronized through chemical whispers. No central command, just cells responding to their environment. And somehow that creates you. Your cells know what time it is. They feel the darkness. Their clocks are telling them to slow down, to shift into nighttime mode. The melatonin in your bloodstream is the signal. Your body temperature is dropping. Your metabolism is quieting. Everything is preparing for the work of sleep. Because sleep isn't rest for your cells. It's when they do different jobs. Growth happens, repair happens, memories consolidate. The brain becomes active while the body lies still. Your cells never truly rest. They just change tasks. And all of this happens in rooms smaller than imagination. Structures you can't see doing work you never feel. Mitochondria burning fuel. Ribosomes building proteins. DNA being read and copied. The machinery of life operating at scales that disappear into invisibility. Yet here you are, the product of all that invisible work, conscious, thinking, feeling, made of trillions of parts that somehow experience themselves as one. The miracle isn't that cells exist. The miracle is that they create you. If you've enjoyed this journey through the universe inside you, I'd love for you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow, we'll explore something just as wonderful, another corner of science that soothes and amazes. More quiet discoveries waiting in the peaceful dark. Your cells will keep working while you sleep. They'll repair damage you don't know exists. They'll fight off threats you'll never feel. They'll keep your heart beating and your lungs breathing. They'll maintain the balance that keeps you alive. You don't have to manage any of it. You don't have to think about DNA being read, or ATP being made, or signals being sent. The cells handle it all. They're older than you, wiser in their way, carrying out patterns perfected over billions of years. So, let them work. Let them do what they know how to do. Rest in the knowledge that trillions of tiny rooms are taking care of you right now. Building, healing, protecting, keeping the ancient promise of life. The peaceful truth is simple. Your cells know what to do. They always have. They always will. For as long as you live, these quiet workers in tiny rooms will continue their labor. The miracle of being alive, happening cell by cell, in the darkness where all life begins. Sleep well.